This time on Monkey Thieves, Princess Dimple and the Splinter Troop continue to live the high life. The orphans get a frightening glimpse of freedom. And Queen Rani discovers her old enemy Zamir could change her life forever. On the streets of Jaipur in northern India, prospects for Queen Rani and the remains of her rhesus macaque troop begin to pick up. They have been roughing it in the Pink City with no alpha male for protection. But a face from the past is back with the gang and is shaking things up. Zamir has taken Rani and her troop by surprise. Their old enemy didn't attack them, but instead led them to food and safety. The old rebel is shaping up nicely as the troop's new alpha male. All they need now is somewhere to live. In one Jaipur suburb, Bipin and the Splinter Gang are a macaque troop at peace. Life in their cozy corner of the city is a monkey utopia. They've struck it lucky and found themselves a home in the most monkey-friendly part of town. And it just gets better and better. Now they don't even need to come down from the rooftops to pick up a snack. Some monkey lovers come up to them. Baby Dimple is the youngest daughter of the gang's alpha female, which gives her a high social status in the troop. The little princess reminds everyone she's up top in the feeding hierarchy. At the Galta gang's old temple turf, the langurs make themselves well and truly at home. These picturesque primates seem to attract plenty of pilgrims. Their tidy looks and graceful manner make them very beguiling. And they're less aggressive towards humans than the scruffy, feisty macaques. But their elegant exterior masks a dark secret. In Langur society, one alpha male reigns supreme over a harem of females and his young. But this emperor's tenure at the top can be cut short. Power-hungry bands of male langurs are always ready to fight their way to the throne. And when a new king seizes control, his first action is a deadly one. The grisly truth is that some langurs have the killer instinct, and their victims are the most innocent members of the troop. A new alpha male systematically slaughters all his predecessors' infants to make way for his own young. It sounds brutal, but it's the only way he can ensure the females will be ready to mate with him. Infanticide is how the males of many species guarantee their own genes get passed on. Little langurs need to grow up fast, or they might never grow up at all. Back in the city, it seems Queen Rani was right to stick with Zamir. The crafty male does appear to have a plan up his sleeve. As the troop pick their way through the pink streets, the alleys and corners start to look familiar. It's soon clear where the foxy old rogue is leading them. This is the closest Rani and her troop have been to Galta Temple since losing their beloved home and its precious pools to the Langur army. It brings back bittersweet memories. But thoughts of the temple are soon blotted out by the arrival of meals on wheels. For once, Rani and the gang are in the right place at the right time. Local delivery man Bansi Prajapat has had a lucrative day, so he's come to share his good fortune with the monkeys. Like all Hindus, Bansi believes in karma. Good deeds done in one lifetime will help the soul move on to a better existence in its next incarnation. Feeding monkeys is one way of ensuring his soul goes up in the world. Just like their close human relatives, macaques need plenty of fresh fruit and veg to stay healthy. Bansi's vitamin-laden van provides the perfect pit stop. It's more food than the gang have seen for weeks. Zamir seems to be a lucky talisman for the troop. On the other side of town, the staff at Animal Rescue Centre Helping Suffering have their hands full. Animal carer Suresh Valmiki has been the only parent these little orphan macaques have known for the last few months. They were each abandoned by their own families as food supplies across the city dwindled. At last, the time has come to try and release them back to freedom. But getting them into the transfer cage is easier said than done. Bal Chand is the team's go-to guy when tricky animals need catching. But even he gets a run for his money. This is a big moment for the little macaques. Although the rowdy orphans have quickly outgrown their enclosure at the clinic, they seem very small. Now they're heading for the big wide world. Up on Galta Hill, Rani and her troop have bellies full of brassicas and feel strong after a square meal. Rani's thoughts drift back to her lost home. Zamir seems to read her mind, and the big male sets off towards Galta Temple. The rest of the troop follow his lead. As they approach the temple gates, the gang's worst fears are confirmed. The huge langurs are still in residence and keep watch over the coveted oasis. To be so near to her beloved temple, and yet so far from calling it home, is a crushing blow to Queen Rani. But devious Zamir doesn't give up. The Langur sentries stand guard at the temple's top entrance. So Zamir quietly leads Rani and the macaque troop round the back. Back in the city, the helping suffering team tackle the traffic and snake towards Galta Hill. The little orphans get their first glimpse of the outside world for months. The vets hope to introduce the little family to a wild macaque troop, but will need to be absolutely sure the youngsters are accepted before they set them free. This troop looks promising, but the vets have no idea who they're dealing with. The sight of a cage full of pint-sized primates stops Zamir and Rani in their tracks. After his recent experiences, Zamir is suspicious of anything resembling trucks or traps. The vet team hope that the troop youngsters will be eager to play with these little newcomers, and that any females without young of their own will be willing to adopt them. It's the moment of truth for the wide-eyed orphans. The vets watch closely for any signs of bonding through the cage bars. But they haven't bargained on Zamir. The big bruiser is in the mood for battle, not babies. His aggression clearly terrifies the tiny quartet. The vets face a tough decision. Life behind bars is no life for a monkey. But releasing these little macaques into such a hostile atmosphere would be a death sentence. The release team pack up and set their course for the clinic. The shaken little monkeys head back to the capable hands of their carer, Suresh. With the distraction of the babies gone, Rani and Zamir focus their attention on the temple. They stealthily lead the gang through an unguarded window. Being sneaky is one of the best ways to get ahead in macaque circles. It's a skill that serves the troop well right now. At the other end of the temple complex, the langurs tuck into lunch and don't see their old enemies slide inside. The macaques edge closer. Zamir seizes his chance. Rani is delighted. At long last, someone stands up to the lanky squatters. The whole troop unite behind Zamir as he challenges the rival army. The Langur alpha male barks a belated warning to the rest of his troop. Now Zamir has the intruder's general in his sights. The long-legged overlord is twice Zamir's size, but the mighty macaque is on the mission of his life. Caught off guard, the Langur alpha male turns tail and flees for the forest. Zamir is hot on his heels, but the rest of the Langur troop are right behind him. The temple is suddenly empty of langurs once more. But as Rani and her troop absorb the reality of their victory, the sounds from the forest suggest that Zamir has made the ultimate sacrifice. Back at their market paradise in the city, Bipin and his buddies Yash and Tito are as happy as clams. They have plenty to eat, but this trio are still a ton of trouble. They are always on the lookout for an open window and ready to practice their larceny techniques. These are skills every good city macaque should perfect, because the easy life can't last forever. The three young males will one day grow big enough to be a threat to Devdan, the Splinter Troop's alpha male. And when that time comes, they'll be forced to leave home. When they're on their own as bachelor males on Jaipur's tough pink streets, plucky Bipin, dependable Yash, and wily Tito will need to use every trick in the book to survive. On the other side of town, at Animal Clinic Help in Suffering, the little macaque orphans face another night behind bars. It's a moment of sweetness and sorrow for their guardian, Suresh. He desperately wants the little family to find a happy home, but is glad he doesn't have to say goodbye just yet. The vet team will keep up a search for a new troop for the tiny clan to join. With a bit of luck, they'll have a life of liberty ahead. At Galta Temple, everything is calm. The terrible noises from the forest have stopped, and after weeks of absence, Rani and her troop at last settle back into life by the temple pools. There's no sign of the langurs, but there's no sign of Zamir either. It seems repossessing Rani's beloved home has cost him his life. The troop youngsters are preoccupied with other matters. Rani's youngest daughter, Isha, and the rest of the little ones take a refresher course in water sports. Macaques learn to swim at just a few days old, and these furry water sprites have missed this element of temple life. quirky Bonita prefers to stay on dry land and wastes no time before indulging in her own favorite fetish. The langurs have at least left the temple in good shape. There are clearly more pilgrims coming through the gates than when the macaques were last in residence. It's a good sign that the global economic crisis could be beginning to ease. A couple of young newlyweds come to feed the monkeys and worship Hanuman, the monkey god. Hanuman is seen as a symbol of devotion, and as the happy couple feed the contented macaques, they affirm their love and commitment to each other. The pair are at the beginning of their life together. But a heavy-hearted Rani faces the future alone once more. Suddenly, a familiar figure appears on the horizon. Rani can't believe her eyes. Against all odds, Zamir has survived. Just as Hanuman escaped from demons in the epic Hindu story, the Ramayana, so Zamir has escaped the clutches of the malevolent langurs. He's seen off the usurpers and once again proved himself worthy of his alpha male status. Zamir's heroics have regained the troops' treasured temple. Queen Rani knows she's onto a good thing. Zamir might have been her arch-enemy once, but in the macaque world, it's not about love. It's all about politics. A rugged and fearless male is just what Rani and her troop need. And after their last alpha male, the hapless Kamal, Zamir is a breath of fresh air. The crafty male's dreams have finally come true. At long last, he's Lord of Galta Temple, and Rani is by his side. His queen might be playing a political game, but Zamir seems convinced romance is in the air. As the sun sets on Jaipur once more, monkeys across the city face an unpredictable future. Bipin and the Splinter Troop may think that they have their urban lifestyle sussed, but the Pink City streets still hold many dangers. Dana Lal, the monkey catcher, has Jaipur's furry felons under close surveillance. At Galta Temple, Queen Rani can finally put the past few distressing weeks behind her. Nothing can bring back her baby son, TJ, but at least she's in her cherished home once more, and her daughter Isha's inheritance is secure for now. Zamir has made it big, but he hasn't faced his last crisis. Now that he's alpha male of the Galta gang, the buck stops with him. The langurs have gone, but they've had a taste of paradise, and this won't be the last King Zamir and Queen Rani see of their black and white rivals. Only one thing is certain. Jaipur will always have monkey thieves.